Sports Radio 1150 KZNE. We are broadcasting live via Facebook on the Zone 1150 Facebook page. We are broadcasting live on the Zone 1150 YouTube page. However you've got us tuned in, thank you so much for having us. What a big day here at the Tap. Great crowd. All the tables are full. If you're just listening to us, this is as big of a crowd as we've ever had for the Bellucci Hour, even bigger than some of our signing day shows. So if you're driving around town and you're looking for a place to come grab lunch and hang out before the game tonight, grab some AC, grab you something cool to drink, come check out the Tab's great lunch menu. $8.49 burger basket today, game day specials. $10.49 Wagyu beef, Akasi sausage. They've got drink specials for the next hour. They will have their own tailgate party here at the Tap leading up to a game day or a game watch party that will start at 6:30 and roll through the rest of the night. You can also park your car here today and Uber or Lyft over to Kyle Field or over to campus. Leave your car here for the remainder of the day and come back and get it tonight. A lot of stuff going on here, a lot of stuff going on in College Station. If you've been tuned into local radio all morning, you've had about 4 hours of it already. And myself and Billy Lucci will give you another hour right here before we kick it back to Louie and head into the pregame show today ahead of Texas A&M's game tonight. Luch, game day, man. You fired up?
Yeah, I'm pumped. I know a lot of people, you know, there's mixed reviews on opening on a Thursday night. I love it. If it was Clemson you're opening with, then hell yeah, I want that on Saturday. I just like having the spotlight to yourself. I like being the first team to kick it off. I like that at South Carolina a few years ago. I like having a couple extra days for Clemson. I don't know how much it really helps, but I know it doesn't hurt. Sure. I know it helps a little. There's just some little way that Jimbo Fisher's going to be able to use that to his advantage. And here's what I really love, Bronny. Being able to watch a full weekend of college football and know that A&M's got this. Here's what's really cool. Watch a whole weekend of college football knowing that the spotlight is going to be here next weekend. So that really adds to the excitement.
And by having this game on a Thursday, it doesn't really get lost in the clutter of a Saturday, you know, when you're playing in Northwestern State. I like the move. It was a very forward-thinking move, I think, by Scott Woodward. And I heard him on Texas Radio say he even got one of the deals was an exchange, right?
2 for 1.
2 for 1. And now, so they got the Clemson game at night as well as ULM, I believe. Luch, I wanted to start off the show with I think the biggest news now this week leading into game day is that Kellen Mond has officially been announced as the starter. Mm-hmm. What did Kellen do in fall camp in your mind to win this job? And then we've talked about this a lot in the show is just his projectability, the arch that he's on or the curve that he's on and the incline of that. Just a really pretty phenomenal performance, you'd have to say, between spring and now for Kellen to win that job.
I don't think I'd have to say phenomenal performance. I would say phenomenal work ethic and preparation. You know, like I think both guys, I think you can tell from talking to Jimbo, and I've talked to enough people, both guys had good fall camps. Both guys still have a ways to go. So that's what made it tough is no one was really just out there lighting it up every day. But when one guy would have an off day, it seemed like the other one would too. And when one guy was better than he normally is, the other guy. So it was hard to distinguish and separate. But as we were going down the stretch, I think people paying attention could tell I was talking about Kellen more. You kept coming back to the one thing that his trajectory, Bronny, and because of that, what we talked about, that preparation and that work that he put in to get there to where it was that much of a competition, his progress as a thrower. So I would say preparation and progress. And I just think maybe Kellen handled the ups and downs a little better.
The day-to-day grind of Jimbo being your coach, your position coach, and a guy that's meticulous about what he wants.
These are all things that he's really looking for, right? Mm-hmm. Is to really look and say, who handles the bad days and what comes with it, meaning how I coach them. Who handles those better? I heard something one day that it was after it was a scrimmage, right? Okay, here's where I think maybe the job was won. It was won over fall camp, and it could be lost tonight. I mean, like, this battle's still going on. Or I say lost tonight. It could be won by Kellen tonight officially, or Nick for that matter. But I think what was a stretch, if you want to really zero in, I heard Kellen had a rough stretch in that last Kyle Field scrimmage, and Jimbo was letting him have it like he does the quarterbacks when they're not doing well, and he came right back and in a 2-minute drill led the offense. Not on like there was no fluky play, like a long sustained 2-minute drill drive for a touchdown that essentially was like a game-winning drive right after really hearing it from his head coach.
Well, what do we know about Kellen? That's what you've said it all along. Yeah. What we see out of Kellen last year, the fourth quarters.
Exactly, and so that was like a fourth quarter moment. But then let me give you another one. That very next day is the day he was referencing in the press conference when he said Kellen completed 80% of his passes, and the day that Jimbo really expanded on during the presser. I think that little stretch right there, when it's that close, and it was that close, and that's why you'll see 11 and 17 play tonight. When it's that close and you're trying to name a starter and transition into giving somebody starters reps, it could be something as simple as that 24-hour stretch that did it.
Well, listen, it's important for Kellen to handle this the right way, but it's maybe even more important for this team that Nick handles it the right way. And even more important for Kellen's or for Nick's mental fortitude and the team's mental fortitude is that, we're all pulling on the same rope, and they've been very open in their interviews at saying our relationship really took off this fall, and we decided we didn't care who was going to start. We just wanted to win football games. This is going to challenge Nick because last year he lost his job to an injury. This year he lost his job to a guy that they competed back and forth, and the other guy got the nod. How Nick handles this, I think, will be a big storyline as well.
Yeah, and I have no doubts on how he's going to handle it. I think Nick's going to be just fine. He'll be fine in terms of the quarterback room, the locker room. He'll be fine when he's asked to play, whether that be at a moment's notice or whether that be as the game wears on and he gets, hey, you're going in next series, that type thing. One thing Noel Mazzoni did, and I said it this morning that he deserves credit for, is, and part of it was, that was part of the whole fear of the Jarrett Stidham thing, and for better or worse, and I think the jury's, even though it's decidedly in the favor of Stidham and Auburn right now, let's wait and see. And but one thing, no matter what, that you can't argue with is they cleaned up that quarterback room. They've got a good room there, and I think that sets the tone for your entire program.
Sure.
And I think Jimbo Fisher would back that up because that's why he's as involved at the position as he is. I mean, that he played it.
One of maybe the unfortunate things about tonight is when you're playing an FCS opponent in your opener and you've got two quarterbacks that you need to get reps ahead of a game with, one of the best teams in the country. How much, if any, do we see Connor Blumrick or even James Foster tonight? It's going to be tough to do because you've got to get these guys ready to play, both Kellen and Nick, next week against Clemson.
Yeah, I mean, you'd hope the game would go well enough where you could play those guys late. And the Foster thing's interesting on how you do it. Because
we're going to get to that because I think all those freshmen are going to play.
Yeah, I mean, you would think so. Here's would be my approach. You got 4 non-conference games that they can get a lot of playing time in, but don't forget there's a bowl also. That could be where you really want to maybe save that fourth game for a bowl because it's later in the year where they're a lot more developed and they can get a lot more time practicing with, say, the second team if they've worked their way up to that. So I would definitely kind of factor in a bowl in terms of what I was thinking. But it's these guys that you say, we can play them in these 4, but what if we need them later? So then you go, if we need them for a 5th game, do we say, well, they played in 5 games, so that's worth giving up a red shirt because it's almost half the season? I think that's fine at any other position except maybe quarterback. So in a game like tonight, do you maybe not play a James Foster in case as the year comes to an end, you need him as your backup quarterback, maybe as your number 2, and he's in the last 4 games of the year. Or maybe not. Maybe you play him at some point before that, but the last 3 or something.
There definitely has to be a plan going into this with this new rule. I mean, it as much as I like it and as much as I think it'll help these kids maybe stay longer in school, it does, with the old rule, there wasn't much planning either. Hey, we think we're going to play him or probably need to hold him and redshirt him. This year, it's essentially like get him in a spotlight, get him some run out, give him a little preview of what's to come, and gives yourself a preview. On the other side,
if I was a coach, and I don't know how they're, I think you'll see almost all of them play tonight. If I was a coach, I might wait till Monroe and then do it with all those guys, and then say, okay, everybody that we just played has 3 games left if we want to hold their red shirt, and you've got 2 non-conference easier games in there.
It's an interesting discussion though, because
I
think
you have 1 more,
right.
And so then you could play them in a couple SEC games and a lot, hopefully, in that last non-conference game.
I think the ones that you think are not going to redshirt at all, they play tonight.
Yeah.
For sure.
Oh, yeah, no question.
On the other side of the break, we'll continue the talk. We'll get into Northwestern State, look at the matchups tonight. You listen to Blue Hour Lunch live on The Zone.
You can hear Aggie soccer all season long on The Zone, 102.7 FM, and online at RadioAggieland.com.
That tailgate guy, he's the guy whose car is always way too close for comfort. Sure, you could teach him a lesson by slamming on your brakes, but you're a safe driver. At Allstate, they think you deserve a reward for not stooping to his level. If you've got a safe record, you can save big on car insurance. Safe drivers should pay less. That's Allstate's stand. Are you in good hands? Call Allstate agent Jerry Anderson at 979-764-0015. Discounted insurance offered only with select companies and subject to availability and qualifications. Discount amount may be lower and applies to most major coverages. Allstate Insurance Company, Allstate Property and Casualty Insurance Company, Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company, Northbrook, Illinois.
Every 12 minutes, someone dies from opioid addiction. It's a unique addiction, and only one treatment network focuses exclusively on this one thing: crushing opioid addiction.
Symetry Recovery. One mission, 3 key elements.
Medication, behavioral therapy, and an outpatient setting.
With a success rate 4 times the industry average.
Call 844-847-6999. For you or a loved one, that's 844-847-6999.
Hey, opioid addiction, we've got your number.
Fender benders, parking lot challenges, scrapes, bruises, and bumps. I'm vehicle challenged when it comes to avoiding objects that get in my way. Hi, I'm Mary Mike Hatcher for Oscar & Sons Body Shop. My car is my second office, and it's so important to keep it looking great. Oscar & Sons Body Shop has done just that. As a family affair for over 40 years, they remove cosmetic blemishes to major auto body repair. Google Oscar & Sons. They'll come to you with a free estimate for your repairs. Oscar & Sons Body Shop. They wreck it, we fix it.
Hey Aggies, it's a home game weekend, so join us here at the Tap for all your pre- and post-game needs. If you're not up for the heat of a tailgate, then Tapgate with us. Bring the whole family over for the perfect place to grab some food, catch the current SEC action, have a game of bag toss, and much more. The Tap has always been where friends meet before, during, or after the game, and we encourage you to park at the Tap and take the short 5-minute Uber drive to Kyle Field. Gig 'em and see you at the Tap, where we've been serving Aggies since 1990.
As a child, you remember the day you got your braces off. As a parent, you remember the day the braces went on. Dr. Elms works to make the time in between as productive and enjoyable as possible. Experience tells Dr. Elms the best treatment plan. A great office and staff ensures a great experience, and the convenience of a free shuttle makes the appointments easy and fun. Ask your friends, read our reviews. drelms.com.
Look around. There could be a big change coming this long weekend. To your walls, deck, or trim. The Home Depot's got $10 off 1-gallon cans and $40 off 5-gallon buckets of interior and exterior paints and stains. Even better, a 100% satisfaction guarantee. You'll love it, or we'll make it right. A little paint goes a long way. Right now, it goes even further, with Labor Day savings of up to $40 on interior and exterior paints and stains. Only at the Home Depot. More saving, more doing. Valid through September 5th via mail-in rebate. U.S. only. See store for details.
The 2018 Fighting Texas Aggie football season is underway, and the Zone has got your coverage from beginning to end on all our social media platforms. Follow the Zone on Twitter at Zone1150, Instagram at Zone1150, and Facebook at Facebook.com/Zone1150. We've even got our very own YouTube page, Sports Radio The Zone 1150. The Jimbo Fisher era is underway, and the Zone has got all the sights and sounds you need. Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. Follow the Zone on social media today.
It's 12:21 on game day here in Aggieland. Bellucci Hour Lunch. Ryan Broninger and Billy Lucci live from here at the Tap on Harvey Road. Yeah, y'all make some noise in here, man. Let everybody in radio. Big crowd in here today. Ended last segment. We wanted to get in. We talked a lot about the quarterback situation last segment and a little bit about this new red shirt rule that the coaching staff will have to navigate this year. But, Luch, we've got so much stuff. We've got Pick'em Challenge still to do. We've got questions just flooding in from here at the Tap. So I was going to do this in the third segment. Let's go ahead and get in on Northwestern State a little bit. What you know about the Demons. First-year head coach Brad Laird, 4-7 last year, picked 8th in the Southland Conference. They're going to try to play as fast as they can, snap the ball a lot. Potentially, I know you wrote about Shelton Epler. Probably will split time. Shelton Epler will split time at quarterback.
Probably start if I had to guess.
Won a state championship right down the road at Navasota, so it'll be a neat homecoming for him. Another A&M connection on staff, offensive line coach is Jay Pond, who played under Sherm.
Yeah.
Was it Sherm or Fran?
Fran, I believe. Maybe both, but definitely Fran.
Yeah. So anything that kind of worries you at all about Northwestern State? They've got some big-time transfers, grad transfers. Jazz Ferguson at receiver. Some names that we've heard on the recruiting trail at least.
I think their passing game, Jazz Ferguson and Quan Shorts, the Tech transfer and the LSU transfer. I mean, Jazz Ferguson, a 5-star coming out, and 6'5", 220. And they also returned their 2 leading receivers who didn't have huge numbers, but they were still their 2 leading receivers last season. And so between those 2 and the 2 transfers and 2 quarterbacks that are used to just slinging it around in Epler and Holgerson, they're – guys that
Holgerson's Katie Taylor, right?
Yeah, and they're rhythm guys. They're slinging a bunch, get the ball out of their hands quickly, and they're rhythm guys, and they understand the offense. Particularly Epler, who his head JUCO coach is the OC tonight for Northwestern State. So there's a lot of familiarity there. I think that'll be the challenge, is just in that passing game, are they going to nickel and dime you and keep your offense off the field and move the chains and then occasionally try to go over the top and hit a big play? I think A&M will do a good job of keeping those to a minimum. I don't think it'll be like last year against Nicholls State, where you saw all of a sudden they start connecting deep down the field. And they were making great plays, but it was because it was one-on-one coverage and you were letting athletes be athletes. I think this will be a little different. They're not going to kind of dare Northwestern State to do that. And then they've got a good pass rusher. Obina. I
think another Houston area kid, I think.
He's at South Grand Prairie, actually.
Okay.
And so, but he's a good pass rusher.
Undersized.
He was very active last season for them. I think he had like 8 sacks, 11 tackles for loss, something. But he's really active. He's drawing some NFL looks, and he is undersized. He's 6'2", 225. I think that'll be a nice challenge for Green and Moore, just to kind of say, okay, you're going to see big and fast in the SEC, but at least you're going to see fast on later tonight and see how they handle that.
What determines a successful night for A&M, you think?
I don't know.
Is there a way to quantify that at all?
I think just playing a fairly clean game and putting these guys away, if nothing else, early second half, to where that you don't let them linger around. You kind of handle your business. And then along with that would be seeing some flashes from some of these guys that later on in the year you're going to need to be really good, just to see enough from them where you go, okay, this could be, by the time the calendar hits October, these could be guys for us. And then finally, I think you want Jimbo more than anything else might want to see probably both, but definitely at least one, and preferably the guy that starts the game, and Kellen, go out and play a good game and calmly and efficiently execute that offense.
Well, you know what, and I think everybody's eyes are already on Clemson. So for A&M fans, I think a successful night obviously is to win the football game by a large margin, but is to come out injury-free. What can you say about where A&M is on the injury report-wise? I know Jimbo came out and said they'll be without Clifford Chapman for 4 to 6 weeks.
Yeah.
Any prognosis on Anthony Hines or Michael Clemens?
No, I think Hines. It sounds real promising that he'll be back for Clemson. And it almost you almost got the vibe that if they'd have had to play him this week, they might could have.
Yeah.
So you want him healthy and at full speed for that one. Clemens, I'll just say I don't think it'll be too long. I don't know if he's back for Clemson necessarily. And I think if he would have, Jimbo would have said that.
Yeah.
I do think you'd see him back in time for Bama a couple weeks
That's
later.
another one, though. You'd really like to get him back for Louisiana Monroe just to get his his feet underneath him and get some mileage on his legs and start getting back in game shape.
No question.
Any freshmen tonight that you were looking for? You said you want to see some guys that are going to produce in October. Any freshmen that stand out to you that are going to be guys that you think, hey, good fall camp, really high end on the potential, very talented kids that you see tonight, you say, man, I'd love to see this kid make 2 or 3 catches or this kid make a couple of tackles? I have a couple. I'd love to see Chapman make a play down the sideline because I think he just brings something that you don't have. A tall, rangy guy that can really run and exceptional ball skills. Listen, covering the kid in South Houston, I can't tell you how many coaches from other schools would say, it's Mike Evans. He's just like Mike Evans coming out of high school.
I don't disagree with that. He's a guy I want to see a lot. I want to see number 7. I want to see Jashawn Corbin. I want to see Vernon Jackson get a couple cracks at it down there, like inside the 3-yard line.
I'd like to see Jashawn in the return game.
Yeah, I want to see him running out of the backfield too. I think you might see a couple of explosive plays from him. And then the obvious, man, I want to see Bobby Brown. I want to see him make a couple of those jaw-dropping plays where you're like, wow, did you see what that guy just did?
Covering these kids in recruiting, and so you end up following them on social media, on Instagram and Snapchat. Bobby was on Max Wright's Instagram story last night, and, just look at this kid walk around, and you're like, this is something different that there's not many guys that have walked through this A&M program in the last 6 years that just look like this kid, much less have the athleticism to go on top of it. I remember seeing him whenever they found him at the satellite camp in Capel. He measured in 6'5", 275, 6'4", and he ran 4'6" or 4'7". This kid's a freak show, and there's a reason why Nick Saban wanted him so bad coming out of high school. What about these new guys? Anybody really intrigue you? Obviously, Jay Sternberger is going to be a huge part of what goes on tonight. I'd love to see Muhammad Diallo. I want to see him in game action, and even Trevor Wood.
Yeah, Trevor Wood, he's been banged up, and he's back. He'll play. He's a big part of it if he's healthy and going well. So because what it allows you to do with Jace. Sternberger's the obvious one. I want to see there was one. Oh, I want to see Glenn Beal, too.
Yeah.
I want to see the big tight end go out there and he's a true freshman, but he's going to have a physical advantage.
He's a
size
giant
and
dude,
strength-wise over some of those guys, so I want to see that.
What about Courtney Davis? Not a newcomer, but, in terms of his eligibility, but a guy that's lit up fall camp, and I'd love to see Courtney have 2 or 3 grabs for 40 yards tonight.
There are a couple guys that are in the program for a couple years now that we need to see really play a role this year. And Chapman is one when he gets back from injury, so – by that timetable, I'm sure they're hoping to have him back by Arkansas. Another one is Courtney Davis, no question about it. I think those 2 guys really stand out in that regard in terms of – and another one kind of quietly, Keaton Sutherland. He's been playing, and he's on the O-line, so it's less attention. But they think he could be a really good player for them up front this year. And if he is, that'll really help that offensive line take the necessary steps because they haven't been very good the last 3 years or so.
Do you think we see tonight the same 5 that we've seen in fall camp to start up front?
I think so.
So you have Hawker, Green outside. Green more outside. Hawker, Sutherland, and then Eric McCoy. I think that's right now, if you had to ask A&M fans again, like I said on the show last week, I think that's the one at least A&M fans would feel more comfortable with, even though they're not out at practice as much.
Yeah.
That just having McCoy, that kind of general right there in the center, and he's been the one bright spot. He and Keaton have been for the last 2 or 3 years.
See, I'm the one. Well, I don't know that Keaton's been a bright spot yet. I think he will be. He's like, to me, you get thrust in, Brawny, as a true freshman, it jacks you up
Well,
a little bit.
100% it does. Yeah, it happened to me in college.
And so that's and not to take a shot because I didn't play college baseball in the Southland, but that's at McNeese in the Southland,
right? 100%.
You know, and this is Texas A&M in the SEC.
Mm-hmm.
So, and the other difference is, and I'm not belittling it. Don't get me wrong, because you're spot on. But I think your point actually even emphasizes what I'm saying even more. That's rough in that Southland Conference in a sport where if you're going against grown men, it's because they're throwing the ball harder.
Yeah.
For you to hit.
They're not physically imposing
There's not a
themselves,
physical outlet of a grown man in the SEC going against, you know, a guy that's not physically developed enough to sit in there and handle that.
What I was going to say is, like, I kind of liken to offensive line play to kind of like kickers. Like, if you're not talking about them, they're doing a pretty good job.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I think that's another element of the season that I think will unfold in
Keaton's
A&M's
gotten
favor.
better and better, and I think he's poised. If Jared Hocker, you know, it was interesting to hear Cole Kubelik talk about him because I was told during camp he's getting better. Like the last couple weeks of camp, Hocker's progressing nicely. And then Cole mentioned him, which means he's, you know, he's hearing that in their game prep with Inside Bright. So it was even the way I gathered it from talking to him, the coaches took it to another level with him than when I asked a couple weeks ago. So it sounds pretty encouraging in terms of if he progresses and there's not a weak link, not to say that Hocker was a weak link, but that position was uncertain and unstable, that therefore it was a weak link. If he can turn that weak link, you know, or make it go away, all of a sudden I feel a hell of a lot better about how they'll fare October, November up front.
The offensive line may not be a big storyline tonight, but you can bet your bottom dollar that next week it will be the number one storyline in terms of A&M's chances to win that game against Clemson. On the other side of the break, we'll get to your questions from here at the tap, and then we'll close the show with the Pick'em. You listen to Blue Hour Lunch live on the Zone.
From News Talk 1620 WTAW, I'm Chelsea Reber with a news update on Sports Radio 1150 in the Zone 102.7 FM. Brought to you by WC Tractor, your local award-winning Kubota and New Holland dealer in Bryan and Navasota. For the second time in 9 months, the Bryan City Council had an extensive discussion with city staff about providing more housing for low-income residents who are described as workforce families. There was no council opposition to any of the ideas. That includes providing city money for the first time to pay for minor repairs to owner-occupied homes. Community Developer Manager Alcy Bond says a local home builder is also assisting with repairs.
We were approached by Stylecraft Incorporated, and we've been working with them over the last 2 or 3 months. They are donating labor and supplies to work on about 6 to 8 households that we're unable to help for some reason. They're either above income or they're not eligible for our program, but they're on our roster.
The council will also be meeting behind closed doors in the future to hear staff's idea to buy vacant lots where developers can build homes. Next month, the Texas Department of Transportation is holding 2 public hearings in Robertson County regarding upcoming highway projects. One involves a new overpass on Highway 50, either in front or behind Mumford High School, going over Union Pacific's new railroad yard. The other, a week from today, is about a project on Highway 79 west of Hearn. Details are online at WTAW.com on the community calendar. Police say 1 person has been killed and 3 were wounded in overnight gunfire outside a North Texas adult entertainment club. Fort Worth police believe an argument early this morning in the parking lot of a cabaret led to the gunfire. Police did not immediately say who they believe opened fire or whether anyone was sought in the shootings that left a man dead at the scene. 3 people with gunshot wounds were being treated at hospitals. News is brought to you by WC Tractor. I'm Chelsea Reber on Sports Radio 1150 and the Zone 102.7 FM.
So you've got bed bugs in your blankets and the weeds have whipped your grass. Those pesky ants are taking over and the shrubs are growing fast. If your sprinkler system's broken, hey, don't make a dozen calls. We're the ones to trust because ABC solves it all. You say your trees could use a trimming and there's landscape to install. Hungry termites feasting on the porch, you don't know who to call. We're specialists and we're the best for your environment. We're tried and true, still here for you. ABC Home and Commercial Services.
For nearly 2 decades, TexAgs has been the #1 Aggie community online. And thanks to that community, we've been able to grow into so much more. TexAgs is now an industry-leading media company that covers Aggie football, basketball, baseball, and recruiting like nobody else. Our staff of over 30 consistently delivers in-depth analysis, X's and O's breakdowns, award-winning video content, and the most reliable inside information you can find. So if you love the Ags, come check us out at TexAgs.com and become a premium subscriber. TexAgs.com/subscribe.
You can listen to Chip Howard 4 to 6 weekdays on Sports Radio 1150 Zone 102.7 FM and online at RadioAggieland.com. Chip Howard.
Welcome back to the Tap on Harvey Road. Belucci Hour Lunch. Ryan Broninger and Billy Lucci. And a very boisterous and involved crowd here at the Tap. If you have one of these Tap SEC Pick'em challenges on your table, one thing to note this year that if you're just in town visiting, it's going to be tough for you to win this thing because we're going to do it every Thursday here at the Tap, old school style, because I think the front table complained loud enough that it was on the computer. So we went back old school so Asher could figure out this whole thing, what was going on. So it's back manual where you just fill in, pick your winners, and we will go over that at the end of the show. But you have to be present here at the Tap. If you're filling out one of these, find Tyler or one of the guys in the Zone 1150 shirts and give them your Tap SEC Challenge sheet. And again, me and Luch will go over them to close the show. Some questions from here at the Tap, Luch. Kellen Mond completed 80% of his passes in that last scrimmage. What does that say about our secondary? Are they any good? Basically, are you concerned about the A&M secondary?
First of all, I did not say that was in a scrimmage. It wasn't. So
I think that was written before.
Yeah, so for all of y'all know, or we know, it could have been against the second-team defense because, remember, they rotate every day. So certainly nothing to be worried about. And then I said I think 2 days ago on the show, and I've written it and talked about it, the secondary has actually been the most improved unit probably on this football team from the start of fall camp till today.
You're still concerned about depth?
Yes, at corner, yes.
Until Chapman gets back?
Yeah.
I mean, you said last segment, like there's some guys on this roster that we haven't heard much from, but, you know, maybe they play a cute. Ronnie Elam may be one of them.
Elam, Miles Jones.
Trayvon Fuller.
Those three. You'd love to see one of them.
Where does Deshaun Capers
step up and play
fit
well?
in?
Safety, nickel. I think, I don't even know if nickel safety or if they're running, going with a dime look.
I think he'll be on the field.
Contributor, yeah.
He's an old head that's got some experience and been through the fire and has left some bad taste in some A&M fans' mouth, but he's had a lot of good plays as well. I think people forget about that.
He needs – I'd like to see him be a steadying force that's coming off the bench and seeing some reps, that kind of guy.
What percentage of snaps do you think we will go under center tonight? It's hard to say.
Good question. I don't know. More than you used to. How about that?
I mean, how hard is that?
More than zero.
You know what, though? I went back and watched. I think it was the year Kenny started, so 14. They went under center every now and then. There were some games where they were under center around the goal line, but that faded so fast. And I can promise you this.
Both Cliff and Spav tried it, and I know for a fact that because I've talked to them about it during those seasons, Cliff gave up on it. They would try out Neely out there with that group and an extra tackle, and they were just getting blown the hell up. And he literally was like, I tried. We try to go heavy, and they just get their asses kicked, so we have to stop doing it. And so that year they gave up on it, and I think Spav did the same. Because it's not their nature. It's not what they like to do. And they just, when they don't do it good, they're like, you know what, we tried. It's like asking a power hitter to bunt a guy over.
Yeah.
It's they try it once or twice, and they look really awkward, and you're like, just freaking swing the bat. And that's what I think they've done. But no more of that. I think you have a coach now, Bronny, that's like, if you need a yard, why in the hell am I going to be handing the ball off to a guy that's stationary 7 yards away from that spot?
With the new redshirt rule, one would assume there will be more redshirts and therefore more 5-year players. Do you see that causing a numbers issue with the 25 recruit limit? That 25 recruit limit is not set in stone. You know, it's not carved out where that's exactly the number that you have to have.
It's the 85 limit.
Yeah, it's the 85 that matters. So they'll have some wiggle room with scholarships every year. It'll always hover around that number somewhere.
It's math. Austin Thomas is more than capable of managing that number in terms of not getting caught up where you have a class 1 year of 35 seniors, if you know what I mean.
Call the first offensive play.
I mean, if I'm coaching, I'm handing the ball to number 12.
Yeah, okay. Listen, we got 3 questions about Gilly.
Rocking.
Yeah. As soon as Gilly touches the ball, and we have 3 questions, like when does Gilly get the football?
But I could see it being a little rollout, like Kellen roll it out and throw
play
it
action,
to
Sternberger.
play action where he has a run pass option to Jay Sternberger or even Trevor Wood if they're both out in a route with Wood, in other words, the short guy, deep guy. I'd say that play or a Travion Williams run.
Anything that you're looking to watch on special teams tonight? Another question here at the tap. Punt returner?
Punt return. I want to see – it'd be nice to see somebody show some signs of being an explosive kickoff return weapon, but I really want to see –
the way they've changed the rule, though, at kickoffs, it's like what incentive is there to return it if it's inside the 25? Like,
that's true. Fair catch, I think.
Yeah.
I want to see – well, the incentive is if you have a Christian Kirk.
Yeah.
We know they don't have a Christian Kirk, but if you have somebody that can make big plays. But I want to see probably Rashad Paul, and if it's not him, then Courtney Davis has been the other guy. I want to see if Rashad looks really smooth back there catching punts. I don't want to see him let balls hit the ground that he should be fielding. I want to see a confident guy back there in the return game. That would make me feel a lot better.
If you would have told me during the last high school season that Jalen Preston wasn't going to return the first punt, I'd have called you crazy. But that just shows you the difference in the kind of punts these kids are catching in high school compared to college.
Yeah.
Braden Mann has been just launching balls all fall camp.
Oh, yeah.
That's a different deal. That's a little league pop-up to a big league pop-up, in the course of 4 or 5 months. It takes a while to adjust. I'm not saying that Jalen Preston's done back there by any means, but it's going to take him a while to figure out how to catch those with guys running at him and 100,000 people in the stands.
Yeah, no question about it.
Another question here at the tab. Even though this game may not be a big challenge, what are you looking for that shows how this team has changed from last year?
I would say, putting them away, but Kevin Sumlin teams typically put away the bad teams. I mean, I know there's exceptions. I remember Nicholls State. I remember Louisiana
Kicking
Monroe.
a field goal against Nicholls State when the only way they could win the game is to block that field goal and run it back.
You're still not over that, are you?
That's unbelievable.
You're still not over that. But
why did he kick the field goal?
But fortunately, I've forgotten that. But we've seen A&M struggle with McNeese 15 years ago.
Go Pokes.
We saw A&M struggle with Arkansas State under Fran and Army. We saw A&M lose to Arkansas State. First game under a new head coach, a new offense, a new defense, an unsettled, not yet settled situation at quarterback, a huge game on the horizon, an off-schedule Thursday night game, some injuries heading into the game, and a team that has a first-year head coach in Northwestern State. All the makings are there for it to not be like the most pretty, dominant, ass-kicking you're going to see. We saw A&M struggle with Louisiana Lafayette last year till midway through the third quarter. So I don't think so, though. I think Northwestern State is lower down the rung than some of these teams. A&M struggled with FIU a few years ago.
It's not like Sam Houston, who's a legitimate national championship contender in that conference, is coming in here to play.
Yeah, and that would be if you were playing a real contender. But you see that, Bronny, throughout college football and even the SEC every year. Mississippi State lost to South Alabama, came back and beat A&M. LSU lost to Troy. Again, now I'm talking about at least those are FCS teams.
Yeah.
They're not Power 5, but they're FBS. Yeah. But still, Georgia almost lost to, I think it was Jacksonville State a few years ago. Chattanooga.
Auburn that almost lost to Jack State. That's who it was.
And Georgia almost lost, maybe Georgia Southern. It was somebody a couple of years ago, too.
Florida lost to Georgia Southern at
Florida
home.
lost to Georgia Southern. Again, some of these teams, I know they're in a different division, but Chattanooga was giving Ole Miss all they could handle, I think, last year for well into the third quarter. So these things happen, and they happen every year. And if it's going to happen, it's going to happen with a first-year coach in the first game. But I think Jimbo Fisher has this mindset of this team where it needs to be to not let that happen. I don't think there's a great deal of cockiness in that locker room right now. I think there's a lot of toughness.
I think there's eagerness.
Yeah. So maybe the eagerness might get to them a little, but the toughness, they're not going to be cocky, and I think they're going out there tonight to work and to get better and to go finally beat up on somebody else. So with that said, I do think A&M pulls away in this one and makes it comfortable.
On the
but
other
it's
side,
not always going to be easy.
We've got two more questions from here at the Tap, and they're more pertaining to college football landscape and stuff like that. So we will get to those two and close the show on the other side of the break with the Tap SEC Challenge. Get Luch's picks, my picks, and we will roll on into a 7:30 kickoff at Kyle Field. You're listening to Belucci Hour Lunch live on the Zone.
This is the Zone FM 102.7 on Sports Radio 1150.
Everyone makes mistakes. Mistakes can land you on the wrong side of the law. If so, you need someone on your side. Steve Gustitis, attorney at law, has over 20 years' experience fighting felony and misdemeanor charges. Steve Gustitis will fight for you. Call now to set up your free consultation, 823-9111. Qualified people are ready to take your call. Call 823-9111 or visit GustitisLaw.com to see how Steve Gustitis can put the law on your side.
Gage Gandy Bail Bonds. We put your feet back on the streets. Fast professional service with the best rates in town. Gage Gandy Bail Bonds. Open 24/7. Call 979-821-BOND. That's 979-821-2663. Gage Gandy Bail Bonds is Aggie-owned and operated, class of 95, serving the Brazos Valley for over 20 years. Gage Gandy Bail Bonds is located behind the Brazos County Courthouse in Bryan. Call 979-821-BOND. That's 979-821-2663. Or visit GageGandyBailBonds.com. We put your feet back on the streets.
Be good to your vehicle, and it'll be good to you. Hi, I'm Gabriel Garcia from Traditions Mobile One Oil and Lube. And while that's a simple concept, it's so true. We're a full-service oil and lube shop with years of experience. And that experience tells us to always go the extra mile for our customers. Like topping off fluids for free on most vehicles and free tire pressure checks.
See Traditions Mobile One Oil and Lube on Villa Maria at 2818 next to Raleigh Car Wash, or at East William J. Bryan next to the main post office. Hey Aggies, it's a home game weekend, so join us here at the Tap for all your pre- and post-game needs. If you're not up for the heat of a tailgate, then Tapgate with us. Bring the whole family over for the perfect place to grab some food, catch the current SEC action, have a game of bag toss, and much more. The Tap has always been where friends meet before, during, or after the game, and we encourage you to park at the Tap and take the short 5-minute Uber drive to Kyle Field. Gig 'em and see you at the Tap, where we've been serving Aggies since 1990.
For your car, your home, your business too, Acme Glass takes care of you. For over 60 years, we're the clear leader. Our quality and value keeps shining through. For repair and replacement on all kinds of glass, you can trust Acme for quality that lasts. Where quality and value keep shining through, Acme Glass, we're the clear leader.
We've almost made it through the long, hot summer. It's time to get registered for America's Most Loved Football Pick'em Contest. Friday's Fearless Football Forecast Contest, brought to you by Brian Hosen Gasket and Nifa's Mexican Restaurant. Go online at chiphoward.com and register so you'll be ready for that first week. Get registered at chiphoward.com and make your picks every week right here on Sports Radio 1150 and the Zone 102.7 FM.
Closing the game day edition of the Belucci Hour Lunch from here at the Tap on Harvey Road. Ryan Broninger and Billy Lucci. If you're here live with us at the Tap, you don't have to go anywhere when the show's over. It's an all-day deal here, an all-day indoor tailgate. Grab yourself something cool to drink. Stick around. Luch has got to run. I'll stick around, shake hands, talk to everybody if you want to, and we'll chat it up a little bit before everybody heads on over to Kyle. If you don't have tickets, you want to stay here all day, you can certainly do that. The Tap's hosting a game-watching party with food and drink specials. So something for you to do all day here at the Tap, or you can hang out a little bit until they open up parking on campus and you go over and do your own tailgating thing. But there is AC here, I know, on a hot day. that's going to be very important. Luch is on the phone, and I'll tell you why he's on the phone. He told me I could say this. Luch is going to be on the Paul Feinbaum Show at 4 o'clock today. So if you got the Feinbaum Show hooked up at your tailgate or on the radio, Luch will be a special guest ahead of A&M's game tonight at 4 o'clock. Lucci on Paul Feinbaum. Don't forget to get these SEC Challenge picks filled in. And over to Tyler, over one of the guys in the Zone 1150 shirt. And they will collect those, and we will begin tallying those up throughout the season. Got a couple more questions from here at the tap, and while Luch finishes up, I'll go ahead and tackle one of these that I know that I can answer without his help. I got a question from here at the tap. Said, talk about the running back Evans from North Shore. That's the 2020 running back, Zachary Evans from North Shore High School. I don't think that it's hyperbole to say that this kid is the best running back the state has produced since Adrian Peterson. North Shore is a program that has predominantly sent its kids elsewhere other than Texas A&M. So if A&M was going to break this so-called North Shore curse, this would be the kid to do it on. Extremely talented, fast, powerful, catch the ball out of the backfield. Very rarely do you go to a camp where these kids are in shorts and T-shirts and a running back stand out the way Zachary Evans does. All the recruiting guys in the state, around the region, believe this kid is the best prospect to come out of this state at running back since Adrian Peterson. Luch is back. Luch told him you're on Feinbaum at 4. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I'm fired up. Get out there. And I always love it when they're here in town. I remember the first time I did that here locally was they were here for A&M's first SEC game against Florida. Yeah. They did the show here. We did it out by the MSC.
Real quick, we got to go through these so we can get to these games. So real quick, Luch, which team not in the top 25 has the best chance to make the playoff? That's tough without sitting and looking at it.
Not in the top 25. Not in the top 25, huh? Oh, I have no idea.
Yeah, it's tough without looking at it.
I mean, I don't know. To be honest with you, I don't think a team has much of a shot outside of the top 25. I mean, maybe it's happened. Whatever. South Carolina.
Yeah.
Do you think maybe they beat Georgia, lose one
That's
SEC
a good answer.
game, and win the title? I don't know.
Do you think Tyree Johnson will see extended playing time? I don't know about tonight or this year, but yeah, probably both.
This year.
Yeah.
This year. I think he's, it sounded like Jimbo was really encouraged with his progress. We saw him get 3 sacks on back-to-back plays in that 2-minute drill. And more than that, he just looked really quick off that edge. And here's the
pass
thing.
rushing is the best thing he does. And they don't have much of that.
He's a big dude that can rush the passer. He's not a little guy. When you see him in person, it's like he's a little bigger than maybe some of these guys sometimes are a little bigger than advertised.
Let's pick these games. Got about 4 minutes. You ready? Mm-hmm. Washington and Auburn in Atlanta.
Start from the bottom.
Start from the bottom?
Yeah.
Northwestern, Purdue.
I know we're going to disagree on this one. I went Northwestern. Braum, I probably should pick Braum at home.
I like Purdue.
I'm going Northwestern.
Virginia Tech, Florida State.
I went with the Seminoles. That was a game where I was going to pick the home team probably. Yeah. That's how close that one was.
Michigan, Notre Dame.
I went Michigan.
I like Shea Patterson.
Shea Patterson and no Mike Elko at Notre Dame. I think people are underestimating that loss.
West Virginia, Tennessee.
Mountain Mama.
Me too. All right, Will Greer,
not
maybe the
Rocky
best.
Mountain. I mean, not Smoky Mountain Rain. I'm going Mountain Mama, West Virginia.
Maybe the best offense in the Big 12. Central Michigan, Kentucky, Middle Tennessee, Vanderbilt. Any upsets there?
I'm going to go with the SEC guys on those.
Louisville, Bama.
Bama all the way.
Bama big.
Yeah, I think Louisville's been running their mouth a little too much.
And I think they take a step back without Lamar Jackson. Ole Miss at Texas Tech, going to be a basketball game.
Yeah, but Tech will tell you they've got that defense right, but this is against Teamu and those receivers. So, and Ole Miss.
Don't talk about it, be about it, Tech.
And Greg Little anchoring that O-line. I think this is the kind of team Ole Miss wants to play. It's the kind of team they can beat. I think they'll struggle more against the teams, they can get a little more physical with them than Tech can. I like Ole Miss in a fun. It's a game I want to watch.
Miami, LSU.
Another game I want to watch. I'm thinking about going to it up in Dallas.
Well, I think Miami, if they can get some quarterback play, I think they beat the brakes off LSU.
Yeah, I just LSU.
Miami can play defense now.
There's a lot I'm not buying about LSU in this offense and this whole thing. And I think they lost enough on defense, even though they returned some superstar players. I think they lost enough for there to be a little transition there,
They've
too.
got the best linebacker, maybe the best player in the SEC, and they've got the best corner in the SEC.
But I still think there's a lot of they lost a lot of starters on defense. I do think that matters. I like Miami. But that's going to be a fun one. You talk about total opposites. Ole Miss, Tech, Miami, LSU. Defense, offense.
Washington versus Auburn.
I'm going with Auburn.
I almost picked Washington, too.
I don't like
I don't believe in Stidham, though. I mean, I like him as a kid. I just don't know if he can consistently. We saw what he did against UCF in that same stadium, right?
Washington, people that are unfamiliar with them, number one, I hate picking Gus Malzahn over Chris Peterson. I hate doing that. Peterson's a much better coach, in my opinion. Auburn lost a lot up front. I'm not completely sold on Cam Martin out of Porata, as you call it, compared to the running backs they lost anyway. But I don't know why. I don't know why I'm picking Auburn. I'm picking Auburn because of their defense. But that Washington secondary is really good, and they're well coached defensively. They've got great defensive coaches over there. That's going to be a really tough game, but I like Auburn to win it with their defense.
Spread tonight, 43.5. Does A&M cover, and who scores the first touchdown?
I don't think they cover 43.5. I think if you told me it was like 33.5, I'd have to sit here and wrestle with it. First touchdown, I'm going to go with – this might be kind of expected. I'm going to go with Sternberger catching one up the seam for
I'll go
6.
Travion just to make it easy. Any final score around
I
anything?
went 38-13 earlier today.
Yeah, I'm thinking 44-17.
41-13, somewhere in that neighborhood.
Yep, Luch, good stuff today.
All right,
good
Bronny.
luck on Feinbaum.
We are
Thank you
hanging
guys
out.
so much for hanging out. I'll be around to shake some hands, talk a little football. See you guys next week. Belucci Hour Lunch. Louie's on the other side.
All right.
Hey Aggies, it's a home game weekend, so join us here at the Tap for all your pre- and post-game needs. If you're not up for the heat of a tailgate, then Tapgate with us. Bring the whole family over for the perfect place to grab some food, catch the current SEC action, have a game of bag toss, and much more. The Tap has always been where friends meet before, during, or after the game, and we encourage you to park at the Tap and take the short 5-minute Uber drive to Kyle Field. Gig 'em and see you at the Tap, where we've been serving Aggies since 1990.
This is Jerome from Birmingham, previously from Paul Feinbaum Show.
Jim is up next.